There's two parts to the story of Kingdom Come Deliverance: the story of the setting of the game and the story of the character that you are playing. First, let's talk about the setting. To be clear, some of these historical events are not 100% accurate. This is based on what happened in the game, so just keep that in mind. So, in brief, in 14th century Europe, Charles IV is the king of the Kingdom of Bohemia and emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. In 1378, he dies, and different parts of his legacy gets inherited by different members of his family. His eldest son, Wenceslas IV, inherits the crown to the Kingdom of Bohemia. He was also elected as emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. His rule was very underwhelming and idle. He was weak, unexperienced, and couldn't control the political affairs well enough. So, as a result, he had multiple quarrels and conflicts with the noble lords and his political rivals, and a lot of them hated him. They had enough. So they turned to his half-brother, the King of Croatia and Hungary, Sigismund, so that he can help them. Sigismund is a cunning politician, a smart negotiator, and a powerful ruler. But after he lost the Battle of Nicopolis against the Turks, his authority in Hungary was in danger. So he took this call for help as an opportunity to secure Bohemia for himself and elect to become the emperor. So with the help of those noble lords, despite Wenceslas still being the actual king, Sigismund was mostly the one who ruled the kingdom. His plan was to convince Wenceslas to become the emperor so that he can become the official king of Bohemia and help him govern the political affairs of the empire. Well, Wenceslas didn't want to become just a puppet with a crown, so he refused. Sigismund had enough, so he took matters in his own hands. With the help of those noble lords backing him up, he forcibly abducted Wenceslas and imprisoned him, taking over the throne of Bohemia for himself. The situation of the kingdom didn't get any better either. Because of Sigismund's true intentions, it actually became worse, and wars and conflicts escalated. He took advantage of the chaos and disorder in Bohemia. He gave an ultimatum to those lords who opposed him to surrender and joined him instead, but they refused and stayed loyal to Wenceslas. So he ended up using force to try and eliminate them to allow him to take complete control over the Kingdom of Bohemia. He didn't only use his army, because Hungarian nobility had no gain in joining him in this campaign, and he didn't have enough money to recruit proper reinforcements. He instead recruited Hungary's barbarian mercenaries called the Cumans. He also went as low as to pay one of the lords called István Toth to go recruit and lead local mercenaries and bandits to fight for him as well. Even then, he fell short to be able to sustain their service, so he prioritized to raid Kuttenberg in 1402 and Skalitz in 1403 for their rich silver mines, and Skalitz was the home of our protagonist, Henry. So this is basically the setting of the whole game, and this is when the game starts. Now we talk about the story of your character. By the way, if you enjoyed this video so far, please subscribe and give it a like. So you are Henry, the son of a very well-known blacksmith called Martin. It's 1403. You live in the settlement of Lord Radzik called Skalitz, in the Kingdom of Bohemia that contains rich silver mines. You do some errands for your father and help him craft a very unique sword for Lord Radzik. Lord Radzik is considered to be one of the loyal supporters of Wenceslas, and on that day he was visited by Lord István Toth, who was secretly working for Sigismund. Radzig thought it was just a friendly visit, but he was actually scouting for Sigismund's army. And he also meets you at the forge with Radzig and gets to know who you are. So, a few moments later, after he leaves, without warning, a huge army led by Sigismund and his lieutenant Marquard von Aulitz raids your settlement. They burn and kill everything. You manage to survive, but your parents get killed in the action. You fail to make it inside the castle walls in time, so they instruct you to take the secret passage behind the castle and go warn the neighboring settlement, Talmberg, of what's happening. You do just that. You reach Talmberg, warn them about the raid, and you rest and recover from your injuries. At night, you get a visit from your Lord Radzig. He tells the Lord of Talmberg, Sir Divish, that his castle is compromised, and taking advantage of the storm, he is leading the remaining survivors south to seek refuge in Rete. He offers you to join him, but you are still bothered that your parents are left for dead, rotting in the battlefield, and you want to go back there to give them a proper burial. Well, he calls you a
donkey
and instructs you to remain in Talmberg. The next day, you sneak out of Talmberg and go back to Skalitz, and you start preparing for the burial of your parents. However, you get ambushed by bandits. They give you a good beating and almost manage to kill you, but you are saved by your neighbor, Lady Teresa, who was joined by Talmberg's captain Robert and his guard. They scare off the bandits, and Teresa finishes burying your parents, takes care of you, and takes you to Rete with her so she can tend to your wounds and help you recover. The bandits didn't kill you, but they did steal the unique sword that your father made for his lord, Sir Radzig. So this is basically the main objective of the whole game, is you trying to find who stole your sword so you can get it back and honor your father's last request to deliver it to his lord, Sir Radzig. So after a couple of days, you recover and get back on your feet, then the search begins. You join the service of Lord of Rate, Sir Hanush, after proving yourself by saving his nephew Lord Hans Capen from humans during a hunting trip. You become the envoy of Sir Radzig. You help him investigate a bandit raid on a local stud farm, hoping it's the same bandits that stole your sword. This leads you toward their encampment in Pribyslavitz, consisting of bandits and humans. You raise an army with the help of Sir Radzig and Divish and assault the camp successfully. It turned out that it was indeed the same bandits that stole your sword. However, the sword was not with them. Their leader was just a pawn for another higher leadership, who probably has information about your sword. So the next step is to find who this leader is. The Lord suspects that there is another camp of bandits and humans being built, and that there is probably an insurgency happening in the region. After investigating multiple leads, you find out that there is indeed a group of bandits who are recruiting mercenaries near Sassau. You manage to get recruited and infiltrate the ranks in Vranik. However, their leader, Istvan Todd, recognizes you since he met you in the forge before your home was raided, so you get captured and tortured. He appears to wield your father's sword. After a few words, he reveals to you the truth. He tells you that Sir Radzig is actually your real father. Then he goes ahead and reveals that he is raising this army of mercenaries and bandits and use it to destroy Wenceslas's allies by order of Sigismund. At night, with some help, you manage to escape and go back to the lords and inform them of what you discovered about Toth and his plans. So they send you to Talmberg to recruit Sir Divish's army, and with the three lords' forces together, they prepare to strike Istvan Toth first at night before he finishes his preparations. Also, before you head to Talmberg, you speak with Sir Radzig and tell him what Toth basically told you about him being your father. He admits that it is true and he actually is your real father, and he tells you that from now on he acknowledges you as his son, and that he will explain a little bit more later. After the preparations are done, you go ahead and raid the bandits in Vranik and you win the battle. However, Todd with some of his men silently escaped and raided Talmberg Castle, who was left undefended, and they took Sir Divish's wife as hostage. So you rush back to the castle. Sir Radzig, your father, managed to enter the castle walls, but he is quickly overwhelmed and he is also taken hostage. You try to negotiate with Todd, but he doesn't see sense. So the lords decide to build a trebuchet to storm the castle walls. You get word that Todd is calling reinforcements, so you take initiative and ambush them successfully. But you hear that there was another group who attacked the trebuchet, trying to destroy it. You quickly rush back and assist the defenders, successfully repelling the attack. You finish building the trebuchet and siege the castle. The lords give Todd a final chance to negotiate, but he refuses, so you start attacking the castle walls with the trebuchet until a breach is open and your army storms the castle, easily overwhelming the bandits. Todd, seeing that he obviously lost, makes a last resort and threatens to kill Sir Divish's wife and your father. He makes his request to have a safe passage in exchange for the wife, and he will keep your father with him as basically a shield until he reaches a safe distance to release him near Skalitz. The lords accept. Thoth hands over Divish's wife, and he has a last word with you about the sword, refusing to give it back, saying that he will keep it as a memento, and rides away. You and Hans Capon with a few soldiers follow them to Skalitz to pick up your father. You find him safe, then Hans and the soldiers go ahead and try to catch up with Thoth while you stay and have a word with your father. You get mad about Istvan Toth, but your father tells you that it's fine and that we will meet him again, and he also explains after that he and your mother were in love when they were young and they had you as a child, but because Radzig was a nobleman and your mother was just a commoner, they could not get married. So that's why he allowed the blacksmith Martin to be your father and take care of you instead. In the end, this is basically the start of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. You and the lords get a visit from Wenceslas's cousin, Jobst of Moravia, who has been raising an alliance between multiple noblemen across the empire against Sigismund after they saw the insane chaos he has done. They want to sway his Romanian supporters to agree for peace and get Wenceslas back on the throne. The lords are unsure, but they agree. They send you and Hans Capon alongside a few soldiers to go to one of Sigismund's allies, Burgov, with a letter to try to understand where his allegiance sits after all that happened. And this is the whole story of Kingdom Come Deliverance. This is where KCD 2 starts. Probably we'll be trying to win over Sigismund's allies and raise a resistance against him to try and dethrone him and get Wenceslas back on the throne instead. And I'll assume that we'll probably meet Istvan Toth as well and try to recover our sword and get our revenge. But yeah, that's about it. Again, this is just a recap. I wanted to focus only on the most important things that you actually need to know before playing KCD 2, and while of course trying to keep it short. So yeah, please do me a favor, like the video if you found it helpful, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like these ones right here. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.